Betrayed. Broken, reborn. This is Novel Binge.
She forged my name for charity, so I exposed her at her engagement livestream. After my ex-girlfriend donated my accident compensation without my consent, she invited me on stage to bless her new life. I came with a proof she thought I would never find. My right hand was trembling when I saw the push notification. The screen lit up with a new video from the Hachuan Urban Reconstruction Public Welfare Fund. The title was polished to perfection. Joe Chen, victim of the branch line number 3 landslide, voluntarily waives compensation and donates the full amount to the City Reconstruction Fund. I stared at that line until the glass slipped from my right hand and smashed against the floor. Water spread across the tiles. The video began playing automatically. Lin Jixia stood in front of the camera in a white skirt suit, her voice gentle and clear. Mr. Joe Chen was injured in the cave-in at the Hachuan Underground Rail project. He has witnessed our city's pain and its reconstruction. After careful consideration, he chose to give up his personal compensation and donate the entire amount to those who need it more. The camera cut to Qin Yan. He stood beside her in a dark suit, a charity foundation pin fastened to his lapel. "Thank you, Mr. Joe, for your generosity," he said with a practiced smile. "And thank you, Jixia, for your dedication to public welfare." The comments rolled in fast. "This is real kindness. Respect." Injured himself but still donated his compensation. Lin Jixia is beautiful and kind. Mr. Chin and Miss Lin are perfect together, a couple devoted to charity. I rewound the video. The frame froze on a letter of commitment. 2 characters sat in the signature field. Joe Chen. The handwriting looked like mine, but I had never signed it. After the landslide damaged the nerves in my right hand, I could not even write my own name steadily. I picked up my phone and called the foundation. A young woman answered. "Hello, this is the Hachuan Urban Reconstruction Public Welfare Fund. My name is Joe Chen." She paused. Her tone immediately became warmer. "Hello, Mr. Joe. Thank you for your support of our fund. I never signed that pledge." Silence fell on the other end. "Mr. Joe, are you sure there hasn't been a misunderstanding? The paperwork has already been processed." "Who submitted it?" "Well, who submitted it?" Her voice dropped. "It was Miss Lin Jixia. She said you were not feeling well at the time, so you asked her to handle it for you." My right hand twitched uncontrollably around the phone. "Do you have a power of attorney? There is an authorization form in the file. Let me see the original." "Mr. Joe, those materials are internal foundation records. We cannot release them without authorization. If you have questions, please contact Ms. Lin." I hung up. The room was silent. Water seeped into the grout lines between the floor tiles. I crouched down to pick up the broken glass. The moment my right hand touched a sharp tingling pain shot through my fingertips. That was what the landslide had left me. The doctor said the recovery was poor. Heavy objects made my hand shake. Fine movements were worse. Writing was the most obvious problem. Back when I still worked as a blasting calculation engineer, I could sign a verification form with a hand steady enough to draw a straight line. Not anymore. I swept the glass into the trash and pulled a folder from the bottom drawer. Inside were hospital records, accident reports, and an old employee ID card. The man in the photo looked much more alive than I did now. Name: Joe Chen. Position: blasting calculation engineer. Project: Hachuan Underground Rail Line, 3 branch line. The magnetic strip on the card had long expired. I looked at it for a while, then put it back. Then I called Lin Jixia. The first call went unanswered. The second was cut off. On the third call, she finally picked up. The background was loud, like a sound check inside a banquet hall. Joe Chen. Her voice was soft, as if she were avoiding the people around her. "Did you submit the pledge?" She fell silent. "You saw it?" I asked if you submitted it. "Yes," she answered so quickly that I almost laughed. "What about the signature?" "Joe Chen, don't get so worked up. The signature. Who signed it? You were badly injured back then. I handled a lot of paperwork for you. It's normal that you don't remember every detail." I looked at my right hand. A pale scar ran from the web between my fingers toward my wrist. "I don't remember donating my compensation." "It isn't just compensation," she said, her tone shifting. "This is public welfare. It's about helping the city rebuild after the accident. The Chin family is willing to help you avoid a lot of trouble. Why do you have to make things ugly?" "I didn't sign it. Do you really have to do this?" I said nothing. She sighed softly. "Joe Chen, you weren't like this before." "What was I like before?" "You used to think about other people. So you signed for me?" This time, she did not deny it. "Making a fuss now won't help anyone," she said. "The foundation has already made the announcement. The press release is out. If you come forward and say you didn't sign it, everyone will think you donated the money and then changed your mind. Then let them think that. Qin Yan is willing to offer you compensation." There it was. "How much?" $500,000. I smiled. The preliminary accident compensation assessment alone was 1.8 million. With the occupational injury, follow-up treatment, and loss of work capacity, Attorney Zhao had said there was still room to negotiate. They took my compensation, handed me 500,000, and expected me to be grateful. "What are you laughing at?" Lin Jixia's voice cooled. I'll give you credit for one thing. You calculated this well. Zhou Chen, I'm helping you. Helping me with what? Helping you move on from the past with dignity. I switched the phone to my left hand. Lin Jixia, on the day of the landslide, I pulled 2 workers out from under the rubble. A piece of rebar severed the nerve in my right hand. After the accident, the project company suspended me and blamed the calculation error on me. Now you're telling me I should donate my compensation with dignity. It wasn't about making you take the fall, she whispered. The internal findings haven't been made public yet, have they? So you had better not force them to make those findings public. I leaned against the table, the edge dug into my back. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Warning me not to ruin your marriage into the Qin family? Her breathing stopped for a moment. A few seconds later, she said, we broke up. Yes, who I choose now is my business. I don't care who you choose. I looked at the screenshot of the charity announcement. She stood beside Qin Yan. Behind them were blue display boards showing the city's reconstruction plans. But you're using my signature, my compensation, and my accident to build your reputation. I paused. I'll handle this. Lin Jixia's voice turned completely cold. Zhou Chen, don't embarrass yourself. I hung up. 5 minutes later, Qin Yan's assistant sent me a text. Mr. Qin would like to see you. Zai Dao A. The address was a private club in Heichuan Bay. I did not reply. Another message came in. Mr. Zhou, regarding the internal findings on liability for the accident, Mr. Qin may be able to help you. I stared at that line for a long time. Then, I replied. Time. In person, Qin Yan looked even more respectable than he did on camera. He sat by the window with an untouched cup of coffee in front of him. When he saw me come in, he did not stand. He only raised his hand slightly. Engineer Zhou, have a seat. Engineer Zhou. It had been a long time since anyone called me that. I pulled out a chair. My right hand rested on the table, my fingertips still trembling. Qin Yan glanced at it. Still not healed. Thanks to your project. He smiled. That isn't entirely accurate. The branch line number 3 project was not funded by the Qin family alone, but the Qin family was the biggest beneficiary. There were many beneficiaries. The government, the contractor, the supervising firm, the subcontractors. He picked up his coffee. Engineer Zhou, construction accidents cannot be judged by emotion. Then by what? Documents. He pushed a brown envelope toward me. Inside were a photocopy of a check and an agreement, a consolation payment of 500,000. The additional terms were written clearly. I hereby confirm that the public welfare commitment letter is valid and that I will no longer raise any objection regarding compensation for the landslide accident or any related liability. I pushed the agreement back. I won't sign it. Qin Yan did not look surprised. Not enough. I think it's dirty. His smile faded. Zhou Chen, I know you feel resentful. Your ex-girlfriend is getting engaged and her fiancé is me. I understand that this is difficult for you. I looked at him. You think I came here for Lin Jixia? Isn't that why? No. Then it must be about money. He leaned back. There is no shame in wanting money. What is shameful is going back on your word after being praised for charity. You've already been presented as a role model in the video. Taking it back now will not help you. I said nothing. He continued. You used to be an engineer. You know what this industry fears most. Accident liability. Exactly. Qin Yan nodded. If you keep making trouble, the project company may revisit the internal findings from back then. Calculation errors, delayed risk warnings, misjudgment of on-site parameters. Once those words are out, who will hire you? He set down the coffee cup. Your right hand is already like this. Don't lose the little work you still have. I looked at him. Mr. Qin, who taught you those lines? What? Han Lifeng? Qin Yan's hand paused. It was subtle, but I saw it. Han Lifeng, former chief engineer of the branch line number 3 project. The day before the landslide, I argued with him because the blasting window had been moved up. I said the surrounding rock stress had not been released enough, and the work had to be postponed. He said the project could not be delayed. The next day the ground collapsed. During the accident investigation, the red risk alert notice I submitted disappeared. The internal finding contained only one sentence. The calculation model did not fully account for on-site variables. That one sentence pushed me to the edge of responsibility. Qin Yan looked at me. His smile was gone. Zhou Chen, there are some names you had better not mention. Feeling guilty? You have no evidence. He said it with absolute certainty. I knew that too. At least for now, I really did not have enough. After the accident, I was hospitalized. The project files were sealed. My computer was confiscated. All I had was a copy of the original calculation records I had exported myself. Not even the complete version. I stood up. Qin Yan said, you can take the agreement home and think it over. Give me your answer before the engagement party. Engagement party? Next Saturday. He looked at me. My engagement party with Jixia will be live streamed. The foundation will also announce the second round of fundraising for urban reconstruction at the event. Engineer Zhou, if you are willing to appear on camera and offer a few words of congratulations, we can discuss additional compensation beyond the 500,000. You want me on stage to prove how kind you are, to prove that you have not changed your mind. I picked up the agreement, tore it in half and put it back on the table. Qin Yan's expression darkened. Zhou Chen, adults have to consider the consequences of their actions. I have. I pushed the envelope back to him. Keep the 500,000. You'll need it for your own lawyer. I turned and walked away. At the door, my right hand suddenly cramped. The pain made me stop for half a second. Behind me, Qin Yan said, "Engineer Zhou, stop holding on. An injured engineer forced out of the industry cannot defend the truth." I did not turn around. Zhao Jinyan's law firm was in the old city. The stairs were narrow, and half the plaster had peeled from the walls. After she finished reading the digital materials the foundation had says, "NT me." Her first comment was direct. "Trouble." I sat across from her. "Can't a forged signature be revoked?" "It can't, but not just because you say I didn't sign it." She held up an enlarged copy of the pledge. "The signature resembles yours. There is also an authorization form." On paper, the foundation followed procedure. Since they dared to make a public announcement, they are clearly not afraid of you making noise. What about the date? Zhao Jinyan clicked on the signature page. May 17. I stared at the date. My fingers slowly tightened. The landslide happened on May 14. In the early hours of May 15, I underwent my first debridement surgery. From May 16 to May 18, I was in the intensive care unit. During those days, I could barely stay awake. It was impossible for me to hold a pen. Zhao Jinyan looked through my medical records. "It says here that you were using a pain pump, had nerve damage in your right upper limb, and had impaired hand function. Is that enough?" "Not enough." She looked up. "Evidence that your physical condition was poor does not automatically prove the pledge invalid. The other side could argue that you were briefly lucid, that you gave verbal authorization, or that Lin Jixia was only handling the paperwork for you. So, what do we need? The original document, handwriting analysis, hospital medication records, nursing notes, entry and exit logs, surveillance, footage, witnesses, if possible." She paused. "And we need a current medical evaluation of your right hand to show your fine motor function was severely impaired after the accident." "I'll cooperate." Zhao Jinyan pushed the documents back to me. "There is another issue. The pledge says you waived compensation. If we prove the signature was forged, the pledge can be revoked. But accident compensation and accident liability are separate matters. I want to investigate everything." She studied me for a moment. "Zhou Chen, think carefully. This is not only Lin Jixia. Qin Urban Construction, the project company, the foundation, and the media are all involved. I've thought it through." She did not try to stop me. She wrote several phrases on a piece of paper. "Hospital records, original pledge, accident records, fund flow. Start with the places they are most likely to overlook," she said. "Do not argue online yet. If you argue before you have evidence, they'll turn you into a greedy man who changed his mind." I put the note away. My phone vibrated. Lin Jixia had sent a photo. It was the invitation to her engagement party with Qin Yan. The caption was short. "Zhou Chen, stop making trouble. We saved you a seat." I placed the phone face down on the table. Zhao Jinyan asked, "Is she still pressuring you?" "Yes. She's afraid you won't cooperate." "Why?" Zhao Jinyan glanced at the pledge. "Because in a case like this, the matter is only truly sealed when you admit it yourself." I said nothing. At that moment, I finally understood why Qin Yan had agreed to meet me in person. They were not afraid that I would take the money. They were afraid that I would refuse to perform. The inpatient ward smelled of disinfectant. I had not been back in a long time. From the window at the end of the corridor, I could see the underground rail construction site. The barriers had already been removed. The road above the collapse had been repaved. From the surface, no one could tell that people had once been buried there. At the nurses' station, 2 shifts had already changed. I asked about entry and exit records for May 17. The nurse scrolled through the system and frowned. "It's been too long. Surveillance footage may not exist anymore." "What about the entry logs?" "The paper copies might have been archived." I handed over my ID card and admission number. She looked at the screen for a moment, then suddenly glanced up. "Are you Zhou Chen from branch line number 3? "Yes." Her expression became complicated. "Your girlfriend came often back then." "Lin Jixia." "I think so. Long hair, pretty, very polite. She ran back and forth with copies of your ID, your medical records, and authorization forms." "What authorization forms?" "I'm not sure. Compensation documents, transfer requests, certificates, things like that." The pen in my hand paused. The tip dragged a crooked line across the paper. The nurse looked at my hand and lowered her voice. "Your hand was badly injured then. On May 17, was I conscious?" She thought for a while. "I was not on duty the entire time, but you had just had surgery and were in poor condition. If you want detailed nursing records, you need to request them from the medical records office." I went there next. My application stalled. The staff member said there were procedures, approvals, and department reviews. I stood outside the window and watched my record request disappear into a stack of documents. For a moment, it felt as if I had been pushed back into the accident again. When I left the hospital, Lin Jixia's mother, Cheng Shulan, called. She used to call me Xiao Chen. This time, the first words out of her mouth were different. Zhou Chen, have you been making things difficult for Jixia? I stood at the hospital entrance. Is that what she told you? Don't blame her. Back then, when you were in the hospital, she ran around for you until she didn't even have time to eat. Now that she has finally found a good home, can't you just leave her alone? Did she take my ID? Of course she did. You were unconscious. Someone had to handle things, didn't they? Did she take my medical records too? Why are you asking all this? Her voice became wary. I did not answer. Cheng Shulan grew anxious. Zhou Chen, you need to have a conscience. Jixia was good to you. After the accident, if she hadn't helped, you might not even have completed the compensation process. So she donated it on my behalf. There was a pause. That was charity. It was a good thing. My compensation, my signature, my accident. You decided all of that for me, and you call it good? Don't be so petty, Cheng Shulan said, barely holding back her anger. What kind of family is the Qin family? If Jixia marries into that family, she will be secure for life. You cannot drag her down just because you are incapable now. Suddenly, I did not want to ask anything else. Aunt Cheng. She froze. I used to call her auntie. She would correct me and tell me to call her mom. Later, Lin Jixia said there was no rush. We could change what we called each other after marriage. There was no need now. Please tell Lin Jixia that I will get to the bottom of this. Cheng Shulan's voice turned cold. What are you going to investigate? You don't even have a stable job, and you want to fight the Qin family. Yes, you'll regret it. I already regret one thing. What? I regret trusting her. I hung up. That evening, the Foundation's short video entered the local trending list. The comments began to spiral. Someone dug up my relationship with Lin Jixia. People said I was the bitter ex-boyfriend who could not let go. People said I was using compensation as leverage because I could not stand seeing her marry into wealth. At 11 that night, Chen Yu sent me a private message. Zhou Chen, I am a reporter with Huan Observer. I covered the branch line number 3 accident. Are you willing to talk? I looked at the message, but did not reply. A few minutes later, another message came. Was your risk warning deleted? I sat up straight. Chen Yu asked me to meet him at a 24-hour convenience store. He was in his 30s, wore black-rimmed glasses, and carried an old bag. The first thing he asked was, "You really didn't sign that pledge?" I picked up the paper cup in front of me. You're a reporter. Shouldn't you ask for evidence first? I can look for evidence. First, I need to know whether you are acting. He was blunt. I did not mind. I didn't sign it. Lin Jixia submitted it? Yes. He nodded and took out a notebook. When the branch line number 3 tunnel collapsed, I wrote an article. I mentioned that the construction window had been moved up and that on-site support work had not been completed. Later, the article was edited. Who changed it? Above me. The Qin family? I have no evidence. Then he looked at me. Do you? I shook my head. Chen Yu closed his pen. Then you are in danger. I said nothing. Public opinion has already turned against you. If you only say you didn't sign the pledge, they will say you regret donating. If you bring up the old accident, they'll say you're changing the subject. So you need evidence that locks down time, people, and money. He took a sip of coffee. Especially money. I frowned. The Foundation. The Qin family has been preparing for the second phase of the Old City Renewal Project. The Charity Foundation is their public face. The engagement party will not just be an engagement party. It will also launch the second fundraising round. I remembered what Qingyan had said, so I was not just a supporting character. I was the most important prop in their script. An injured accident victim, a voluntary donation, a personal blessing to the newly engaged couple. Then Qingyan and Lin Jixia would announce that they would continue raising money for the city. What a complete story. What a clean one. I asked Chen Yu, why help me? He was silent for a moment. After my article was cut, the sister of one of the workers who died came to me. She asked me why her brother had clearly said the schedule was wrong, but there wasn't a single word about it in the final report. What's her name? Shu Chao. I wrote it down. Chen Yu said, she makes short videos now to demand accountability. These past 2 days, she has been attacking you too. I opened my phone. Sure enough, Shu Chao had posted a video. She stood in front of a wall, covered with accident reports, eyes red. Zhou Chen, you were also part of branch line number 3. You were injured, so you received compensation. But my brother died, and we still don't know the truth. If you want to donate. But why aren't you helping the families hold someone accountable? Now that your ex-girlfriend is getting engaged, you suddenly say you never signed anything. Do you want the truth, or do you only want money? The comments were full of attacks. Even the victims' families can't stand him. He's using his ex's engagement for attention. Donated and regretted it. Disgusting. I put the phone face down. Chen Yu looked at me. What are you going to do? I'm going to find Shu Chao. She won't believe you. Then, I'll let her yell first. I met Shu Chao for the first time by the accident memorial wall. Outside the old construction site, several bunches of withered white flowers leaned against the wall. She wore a black jacket and held her phone in her hand. The moment she saw me, she started recording. Zhou Chen is here. The camera focused on my face. Go on, you say you didn't sign the pledge. Then, do you dare admit whether you were involved in the calculations back then? I was involved. Were you you responsible for the accident? No, she laughed coldly. Everyone says that. I looked at her. What was your brother's name? Her expression changed. Shu Wang. He worked at the south face of shaft number 3. He was responsible for support monitoring, right? Her grip on the phone tightened. You investigated me? The day before the accident, he reported abnormal crown settlement. The measurement was 15.6 millimeters. It exceeded the warning threshold. Shu Chao's expression shifted. How do you know that? Because that data went through my model. I took one step forward. She stepped back. I don't believe you. You don't have to. I said, but your brother said before he died that the construction schedule was wrong. I want to hear that. Shu Chao stared at me. Who told you? Chen Yu. You can't trust reporters either. I know. You were all untrustworthy. Back then. Her voice trembled. My brother sent me a voice message saying they had to enter the tunnel early because higher-ups were pushing the schedule. He said the support work had not been fully inspected. After the accident, my phone was smashed. I tried to repair it, but they said it couldn't be fixed. Do you still have the phone? Yes. Give it to me. No. I can try to repair it. What gives you the right? I raised my right hand. My fingers were trembling more noticeably than before. I also want to know who let them enter early that night. Shu Chao stared at my hand. She did not give me the phone right away. She only asked, did you really not sign that pledge? No. Then why didn't you say so earlier? I only found out today. The hatred in her eyes did not disappear, but hesitation appeared beside it. Zhou Chen, if you lie to me, I will make you look worse than you already do. Fine. She took an old phone from her bag. The screen was badly cracked. Mud still clung to the edges. When she handed it to me, she did not let go. This is what my brother left behind. I know. Don't lose it. I won't. I put the phone in my bag. Before I left the memorial wall, Shu Chao suddenly asked, if you were not responsible, why did the internal report say you made a calculation error? I stopped. Because my red risk alert notice disappeared. What is that? A red level risk warning, the highest level. She looked at me. Can you still find it? I don't know. That was the truth. I issued my first public statement. Only one sentence. I did not personally sign the public welfare pledge, and I have never voluntarily waived my right to accident compensation, or M.Y. right to hold the responsible parties accountable. 10 minutes later, the comments exploded. Here comes the bitter ex-boyfriend. Why didn't he say anything before? Why only now that she's getting engaged? Everyone wants to ride the charity trend. So ugly. Lin Jixia must have had terrible luck to date a man like this. Lin Jixia did not respond. Qin Yan's team responded quickly. A local finance outlet published a press release. Did the accident victim regret donating? Insider says he was internally held responsible for calculation errors. The article named no one, but everyone knew it was about me. They put the words calculation error, emotional instability, compensation dispute, and ex-girlfriend's engagement in the same paragraph. That was enough. The internet would fill in the blanks by itself. That night, Han Lifeng called. His voice was the same as before, carrying that condescending exhaustion. Zhou Chen, you've made quite a scene lately. Chief Engineer Han. Don't call me that. I'm vice president of the project company now. Congratulations. He chuckled. Let me give you some advice. Stop. It has been over a year since the accident. Digging it up now helps no one. Wouldn't that be unfair to you? You haven't changed at all. He sighed. If you hadn't been so stubborn back then, you wouldn't have ended up like this. I was stubborn, so the surrounding rock collapsed by itself. Zhou Chen, all internal documents are with the company. What do you have? A few rough drafts. Some data you exported on your own. None of that is fit to be shown publicly. Where is the red risk alert notice? There was a pause. What red risk alert notice? The red level risk warning. I submitted to you on the evening of May 13. Han Lifeng laughed. You must be remembering wrong. I remember very clearly. Even if something like that existed, it would be long gone. His voice lowered. After the accident files were sealed, the old warehouse was cleared. Zhou Chen learned to look forward. Do the dead have to look forward too? His tone darkened. Don't make yourself sound innocent. If the accident report is truly made public, you won't be able to walk away clean either. Then make it public. Are you sure? Yes. He gave a cold laugh. Fine. I hope you can hold on. The call ended. The next day, the small engineering consulting firm I worked with informed me that the 2 data verification projects under my name had been put on hold. My boss called me into his office. He was not a bad person. He only looked deeply troubled. Zhou Chen, someone from the Qin family contacted us. I nodded. I know. My company is too small to survive this kind of storm. For now, hand your projects over to someone else. What about my pay? He avoided my eyes. We'll settle this month's payment. As for the rest, let's put it on hold. End the partnership? Don't say it like that. I smiled. Okay. As I left the office, Shen Jiahe chased after me. She was the company's data auditor. We often worked together on financial models. Zhou Chen. I stopped. She handed me a USB drive. I compiled the information you asked me to check on the fund's public disclosure projects. Aren't you afraid of getting dragged into this? I only collected public information. Her voice was calm. But I suggest you don't release it randomly. Some transactions look suspicious, but taken individually, they are not enough as evidence. What's suspicious? Several project funds from the Urban Reconstruction Fund went to a company called Heisheng Supply Chain. When I traced Heisheng's ownership structure, I found overlaps with affiliates of Qin Urban Construction. She looked at me. The money appears to be donated for reconstruction. In reality, it may be flowing back into their own supply chain. I took the USB drive. My right hand slipped, and it almost fell. Shen Jiahe reached out to steady it. Your hand. It's fine. She did not press. If you keep investigating, I can help you build a timeline, but I'm not responsible for emotional warfare. I don't play emotional games. She nodded. Good. Emotions won't beat the Qin family. Lin Jixia came by the day I finished moving my old files. The apartment I rented was small. She stood at the doorway and did not come in. She wore a light-colored coat and flawless makeup. In her hand was a gold foil invitation. The engagement party is next Saturday at 7. I did not take it. She placed it on the shoe cabinet. Come. Why should I? Qin Yan agreed. As long as you say 3 sentences there, everything from before can still be discussed. What 3 sentences? She took a sheet of paper from her bag. I glanced at it. First, this commitment letter reflects my true wishes. Second, I thank the Urban Reconstruction Fund for helping those affected by the accident. Third, I wish Lin Jixia and Qin Yan happiness. After reading it, I laughed. You even wrote my lines. Zhou Chen, don't be stubborn. Do I look like I'm sulking? Isn't that exactly what you're doing? She frowned. You're issuing statements, contacting reporters, and meeting victims' families. You think you are uncovering the truth, but to outsiders, it only looks like you can't handle losing. What outsiders think is your business. So what? Her voice was soft, colder than ever. Zhou Chen, public opinion depends on who speaks first and who sounds more convincing. You do not understand this world. I do. I looked at her. Lin Jixia used to work in new media. I helped revise many of her proposals. She said she wanted to do meaningful charity work. I believed her. After the accident, she cooked porridge outside my hospital room and ran around with my medical records. I believed that too. Looking back, she really did understand communication. She understood how to turn an injured man into a willing sacrifice. Lin Jixia, I asked, where were you on May 17? Her eyes flickered. What? The pledge was signed on May 17. Where were you that day? I don't remember. Didn't you say you handled my paperwork? I handled too many procedures. How could I remember every single day? Did you have my ID? You were in the hospital. Of course, I kept it for you. What about my medical records? Zhou Chen, are you interrogating me? Her expression finally darkened. I did not back down. Who signed it? That's enough. She lowered her voice. Do you know Qin Yan is already very unhappy? He is only giving you this chance because of me. Because of your reputation. Yes. She looked impatient now. You have no projects right now. Do you medical bills, legal fees, rent? How long can you last? As long as you cooperate at the engagement party, Qin Yan can have the project company revise its internal evaluation of you. You'll still be able to take engineering consulting jobs. What if I don't cooperate? Then you'll carry that calculation error for the rest of your life. She placed the script under the invitation. Zhou Chen, stop being foolish. You are no match for the Qin family. I looked at her hands. Those hands had once peeled apples for me. Now they were pushing a script into my face, trying to make me admit out loud that she had sold me out. Do you really think you did nothing wrong? I asked. She paused. I only chose a better path, paved with my signature. Don't put it that way. Then, how should I put it? She looked at me as if she had finally run out of patience. You're finished, Zhou Chen. The room fell silent. She realized the words had been too direct, but she could not take them back. I mean, you can't go back to how things were. Why can't you accept reality? If you donate the compensation, at least you will still have a good reputation. I nodded. So I should thank you. She turned away. I hope you'll be on time Saturday night. I'll go. Lin Jixia froze. She looked at me. You agree? I'll go to the engagement party. She breathed out in relief. Memorize the script. A lot of people will be watching the live stream. Don't make a mistake at the last moment. I picked up the paper, folded it in front of her, and put it into my pocket. Don't worry. She probably thought I had surrendered. As she left, a little of her old gentleness returned. Zhou Chen, once this is over, let's both move forward. I closed the door. The moment it shut, I threw the script into the trash. Then I messaged Zhao Jinyan. Engagement party, I'm going. She replied quickly. Are you ready? I looked at the USB drive, the damaged phone, the hospital application receipt, and Uncle Liang's number on the table. Almost. Uncle Liang worked as a security guard at the old warehouse in the south of the city. The branch line, no. 3 project files had been moved 3 times. First, they were archived. Second, they were cleared. Third, they said a warehouse fire had destroyed part of them. Han Lifeng said the red risk alert notice was gone. I did not believe it. Uncle Liang used to know my father. When I first joined the project, he even brought me lunch. But when I found him, his first reaction was to close the gate. Zhou Chen, I don't know anything. Uncle Liang, don't call me. He looked at me through the iron gate, eyes cloudy. You young people have your lives. I'm old. I only want to keep my job. On the night of May 13, I turned in a red level risk alert. I don't know. Han Lifeng signed for it. I don't know. After the accident, the old warehouse was clear. Was everything really burned? His expression changed. Don't ask. I pressed my hand against the iron gate. A tingling pain pulsed through the tip of my right finger. Uncle Liang, it was not Data that died that day. He said, nothing. Shu Wang died. So did Zhao Lin and Wang Qishan. You knew them all. Uncle Liang's lips trembled. I continued. I'm not asking you to testify for me. I only want to know whether those things still exist. He leaned against the gate for a long time. Then he opened it a crack. Come with me. The old warehouse was dark. A row of rusty cabinets had been shoved into the corner. Uncle Liang dragged a cardboard box out from the very back. Inside were several old hard drives, photographs of change orders with singed edges, and a crumpled copy of a registration form. His hands shook violently. When we cleared things back then, I kept some aside. It wasn't to hurt anyone. I was just afraid that if something happened one day, no one would be able to explain it. Why? Give it to me now. You think I'm not afraid? He lowered his voice. After the accident, people came to the warehouse. They were looking specifically for red risk forms and records of construction schedule changes. Not long after they left, the warehouse caught fire. I flipped through the photos. One was the construction window adjustment approval form. Date, May 13. Original blast inspection window, May 15, 10 a.m. Revised, May 14, 22 o'clock, 12 hours earlier. Half the approval section had been burned away. Only the character Han and the seal of the Qin Family Project Coordination Department were still visible. My heart sank. Where is the original? Uncle Liang shook his head. That is all I have. What's on the hard drives? Surveillance backups, some emails, and a meeting recording. But they're damaged. I can't open them. I put everything into my bag. Uncle Liang suddenly grabbed my arm. Zhou Chen, don't tell anyone I gave these to you. I know. He looked at me. Are you really going against the Qin family? I didn't touch them. Uncle Liang did not understand. I zipped up the bag. They touched the dead first. It took Shen Jiahe 2 days to find someone to repair Shu Chao's old phone. Early on the third morning, she sent me an audio file. Only 27 seconds long. There was heavy static, but several sentences were clear. A man's voice sounded anxious. Chao, we have to go in early tonight. Yeah, they're really pushing us. The support work hasn't been inspected yet, and I have a bad feeling. Don't tell Mom. I'll explain when I get back tomorrow. A piercing buzz followed. Then the audio cut out. I listened 3 times. Then I sent it to Shu Chao. 10 minutes later, she called. She did not speak. Only muffled sobbing came through the line. I said nothing, either. After a long while she asked, can this be used as evidence? It can serve as a clue. It still needs to be verified against the change order and on-site records. What can I do? Do you want to come to the engagement party? She paused. What are you planning? Let's hear what they have to say about public welfare. Shu Chao gave a hoarse laugh. I'm afraid I'll rush up and hit someone. Don't hit anyone. Why not? Because once you hit someone, they won't have to answer questions anymore. She fell silent. Then she said, fine, I'll go. That afternoon, Zhao Jinyan got the hospital records. The nursing notes for May 17 were clearer than expected. At 9:35 a.m. I was assessed with grade 2 muscle strength in my right upper limb. At 20:10 p.m. I was recorded as drowsy after medication. At 6:40 p.m. I was unable to complete fine motor coordination testing. At 8 p.m. Lin Jixia signed the visitor register. At 8:37 p.m. she left the ward area with a folder. The pledge had been signed at 9:12 p.m. Zhao Jinyan looked at me. This is useful, but still not enough. It proves you were unlikely to sign. To prove forgery, we need handwriting analysis. I took out an old work verification form. My signature from before the accident was on it. Then I placed the pledge screenshot beside it. They used my old signature. Zhao Jinyan narrowed her eyes. The 2 signatures were almost identical at first glance. 2. Identical. Natural handwriting changes. Pressure changes. Angles change. But this one looked copied. Zhao Jinyan immediately contacted a forensic handwriting agency. 2 days later, the preliminary opinion came back. The signature on the pledge showed signs of tracing and copying. The pressure, turning points, and final stroke were inconsistent with natural writing. That night, Lin Jixia called me again. Her voice was not as steady as before. Zhou Chen, what exactly do you want? The truth. People change. Yes, you changed. She was silent. After a few seconds she said, I never thought about hurting you. Then what did you think? I thought this was the best outcome for everyone. You had already lost your job. Even if you got the compensation, what then? Could your hand recover? Could your career recover? The Chin family could give you another chance. You forged my signature to give me a chance. I had no choice. Her voice trembled slightly. Chin Yan said if this charity project succeeded, he could help rewrite the industry's opinion of you. If you kept fighting, they would make sure you could never return. I was trying to leave you a way out. So you cut off the road first. Zhou Chen, why do you always have to speak so harshly? Because you understand soft language too well. I hung up. The engagement party was 3 days away. The night before the party, Chin Yan's assistant sent me the final schedule. 7 p.m. Opening remarks. 7:10 p.m. engagement ceremony. 7:25 p.m. charity speech by Lin Jixia. 7:35 p.m. remarks by Chin Yan. 7:45 p.m. remarks by Zhou Chen. 7:50 p.m. screening of public welfare announcement. 8 p.m. launch of second fundraising round. My name appeared neatly in the middle of their program, like a prop, like a stamp, like the final seal on a lie. Chen Yu called me. I can get in as media. Be careful. I know. He paused. Once this starts, there's no taking it back. I know. Do you have enough evidence? No. He was quiet. I said, but I have enough questions. That can be more dangerous than evidence. It's also more useful on a live stream. Zhao Jinyan reviewed every document we had. Medical records, visitor logs, forensic handwriting opinion, Chin Yan's agreement, fund flow chart, old warehouse photos, the repaired audio from Xu Wang's phone, the red risk alert notice, the construction window adjustment form. The broken pieces did not yet make a perfect case, but they were enough to break a perfect performance. Shen Jiahe sent the final fund flow chart near midnight. It was clearer than anything I could have drawn. Urban reconstruction, public welfare fund, project disbursement, Haisheng supply chain, subcontracting invoice, Chin, group affiliate, then back again through a procurement company. She included one note: do not make conclusions, ask questions, let the investigators answer them. I replied, understood. Her next message came almost immediately. Also, don't let them take your microphone. I smiled for the first time in days. My right hand was still shaking, but my left hand was steady enough to hold a phone. That was enough. The engagement party was held at Heichuan Bay Hotel. At 6:40 that evening, I arrived. As soon as the elevator doors opened, I saw the floral wall light strips, media stations, and live stream signs arranged perfectly. The backdrop at the check-in area read, "In the name of love," walking hand in hand with the city. Lin Jixia and Chin Yan's names were printed side by side in the center. Beside them was the logo of the Urban Reconstruction Public Welfare Fund. I took out the invitation. The staff member glanced at it. His expression immediately became subtle. "Mr. Zhou, this way please." I was seated in the second row, directly facing the stage. Easy to bring on stage, easy for the cameras to capture. Xu Chao sat in the back corner with a black picture frame in her arms. Chen Yu stood in the media area and nodded slightly at me. Shen Jiahe did not appear. She was working remotely. Zhao Jinyan did not enter the banquet hall either. She waited in the car downstairs. She said a lawyer would be too obvious at the scene. At exactly 7, the live stream began. The host's voice rang through the hall. Welcome, everyone, to the engagement ceremony of Mr. Chin Yan and Ms. Lin Jixia, and to the launch event for the second fundraising campaign of the HA, Yichuan City Reconstruction Charitable Foundation. Applause broke out. The camera panned across the venue. Comments scrolled across the 2 large screens on both sides. It's starting. A charity engagement party. So meaningful. Lin Jixia is gorgeous. I heard the ex-boyfriend who donated his compensation is here too. The host began with how Chin Yan and Lin Jixia met. Then, public welfare. Then, the city. Then post-disaster reconstruction. Every word was bright and clean. So clean that it sounded as if the collapse had never happened. As if no one had died. As if no one's right hand had been ruined. And as if no scapegoat had been pushed out of the industry. When Lin Jixia took the stage, she wore a white evening gown. When she saw me, her gaze paused for 1 second. Then she smiled even more gently. This past year, I have witnessed pain, but I have also witnessed kindness. Some people chose to speak out after the accident. Some chose to give of themselves. And some chose to place the city's interests above their own. The camera turned toward me. My face appeared on the big screen. The comments flooded in. Is that Zhou Chen? He looks gloomy. Tie-dye. Didn't he regret donating? How does he dare show up? Looks like the Chin family talked him down. Chin Yan took the microphone. Today, I would also like to give special thanks to a friend. He looked at me. Mr. Zhou Chen. The entire hall applauded. I did not move. The host smiled. Mr. Zhou was injured in the branch line. No, 3 accident and is also a major pledge donor to the City Reconstruction Public Welfare Fund. His presence today shows his support for Mr. Chin, Miss Lin, and the public welfare cause. A staff member walked over. Mr. Zhou, please. I stood. My right hand hung at my side. The camera followed me. With every step, more comments appeared on the screen. He really went up. I guess we owe him an apology. Men have to face reality eventually. Lynn Jixia stood at the center of the stage. As I walked up beside her, she tilted her head slightly and whispered, "Read the script." I glanced at her. Her smile did not change. Only her fingers tightened around the microphone. The host handed me another mic. "Mr. Joe, please say a few words." I took the microphone. The banquet hall quieted down. The live stream camera focused on my face. Lynn Jixia whispered, "First line." I looked at the audience. Chin Yan sat at the main table, tapping his fingers lightly against the surface. Han Lifeng was there too, sitting beside a senior Chin executive with a polite smile on his face. In the back row, Shu Chao stood up with a photo frame in her arms. I spoke, "Lynn Jixia, let me ask you a question first." Her smile froze. "Joe Chen, now is not the time. When was the pledge signed?" The hall went quiet. The host reacted quickly. "Mr. Joe may be a little emotional. Our main purpose today is to share the original spirit of public welfare." I looked at Lynn Jixia. "May 17, right?" Her eyes flickered. "We can discuss those details privately." "Not privately." I turned toward the camera. "Because you publicly announced that I voluntarily waived my right to owe compensation and donated the money to the Urban Reconstruction Public Welfare Fund." The comments accelerated. "What's going on? Is he causing trouble? Wasn't he supposed to bless them?" Chin Yan stood. "Joe Chen, mind the occasion." I ignored him. On May 17, I was in the ICU at Hechuan First Hospital. My medication records, nursing notes, and muscle strength assessment from that day all show that I could not write steadily. The big screen flickered. The engagement photo disappeared. A hospital record appeared in its place. Chen Yu had made his move. Someone, in the hall, gasped. The host's expression changed. "What is happening backstage?" Chin Yan turned toward the control booth. I continued. "This record shows that at 9:35 a.m. on May 17, the muscle strength in my right upper limb was grade 2. My fingertips were numb, and I could not complete fine motor movements." A second page appeared. Assessment of right hand impairment. I raised my right hand. Under the stage lights, it trembled clearly. "This is my hand." I looked at Lynn Jixia. "Are you saying I signed it that day?" Her face turned pale. "You were conscious at moments." "You, being conscious does not mean I signed." The screen changed again. A close-up of the pledge signature appeared beside a sample of my signature from before the accident. According to the preliminary opinion of a forensic handwriting agency, the signature on the pledge shows signs of being copied. There are inconsistencies in pressure, turning points, and finishing strokes. I paused. Especially, the final stroke of the character Chen. Murmurs spread through the hall. The live stream comments exploded. Is the signature fake? A forged charity pledge? Wasn't Lynn Jixia his ex-girlfriend? Lynn Jixia became anxious. "Joe Chen, don't mislead people with incomplete information. It is true that you asked me to handle paperwork for you back then. Did I ask you to donate my compensation? Did I ask you to waive accountability?" She could not answer. Chin Yan strode onto the stage. "That's enough." He reached for my microphone. I stepped back. "Why are you in such a hurry, Mr. Chin?" Chin Yan lowered his voice. "Joe Chen, if you stop now, I can still give you a way out." "You mean 500,000 and a confidentiality agreement?" His face darkened completely. Someone in the audience lifted a phone to record. The agreement he had given me at the private club appeared on the big screen. "It is written clearly here," I said. "I confirm that the pledge is valid and will no longer raise any objection regarding compensation for the landslide, accident, or related liability." I turned to the live stream camera. "Everyone, look carefully. This agreement was not buying my blessing, it was buying my silence." Chin Yan turned and shouted toward the back, "Cut the live stream." The big screen went black for 1 second. The next second, the feed returned. Chen Yu's voice came from the media area. "Mr. Chin, the main live stream is down, but there are still 3 media feeds." The hall gasped. Chin Yan's face turned ashen. The host stood frozen. I gave them no time to recover. The pledge was only the first part. Han Lifeng finally stood. "Joe Chen, do not make baseless claims about a construction accident at an engagement party." I looked at him. "Chief Engineer Han, did I submit a red-level risk alert to you on the evening of May 13? Han Lifeng laughed coldly. "No." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." The screen changed to an old photo. The edges were burned. It was a photocopy of the red risk alert notice. Han Lifeng's signature was on the receipt line. Though the document was incomplete, the date was clear. May 13, 9:42 p.m. Han Lifeng's expression changed instantly. Who knows whether a photo like that is real? What about this? The screen changed again. Old warehouse inventory records appeared. In the early hours of May 14, a document adjusting the construction schedule was uploaded into the system. The original blast inspection window was May 15 at 10 a.m. It was moved to May 14 at 10 p.m. 12 hours earlier. I looked out at the audience. The landslide happened at 11:17 p.m. on May 14. No one applauded now. Shu Chao stepped out from the back row. She held Shu Wang's photo in her arms. My brother said the same thing. Her voice was not loud, but but every camera turned toward her. Before the accident, he sent me a voice message. He said they had been told at the last minute to enter early and that the support work had not been inspected. Audio played through the speakers. Static scraped through the hall. Then, Shu Wang's voice came out. Xiao, we have to go in early tonight. They're really pushing us. The support work hasn't been inspected yet, and I have a bad feeling. The audio cut off. Shu Chao stood in the audience with red eyes. My brother never came back. The banquet hall fell completely silent. Han Lifeng began to sweat. This is only audio provided by a family member. It does not prove that the project violated regulations. Then let's look at the change order. The burned approval form appeared on the screen. Half the approval section was missing, but the remaining seal of the Qin Family Project Coordination Department was clear. These materials come from remaining files kept from the old branch line number 3 warehouse. Their authenticity can be submitted to the investigation team for verification. I looked at Han Lifeng. You just said there was no red risk alert. Then explain why. After the accident, someone specifically removed the red risk notices and construction schedule adjustment records. Han Lifeng's lips twitched. He said nothing. Qin Yan suddenly said coldly, Zhou Chen, you brought photos of unknown origin to my engagement party to slander the Qin family. Are you prepared to take responsibility? I am. I looked at him. Are you prepared to explain the charity foundation? Qin Yan's expression changed. This time, he was truly panicked. Lin Jixia turned to him. Qin Yan, I did not stop. The screen switched to the fund flow chart. Shen Jiahe had made it clean and clear. Urban Reconstruction, Public Welfare Fund, Project Disbursement, Haisheng Supply Chain, Qin Group Affiliates. Layer by layer, the ownership chart unfolded. This is only a compilation of public business registration information and fund disclosure documents. I said, I am not making a conclusion. I am asking a question. I looked toward Qin Yan. Why did money donated for reconstruction flow into a supply chain company connected to Qin Urban Construct? Ion. Qin Yan's voice tightened. Do you understand finance? Do you understand procurement? Related party transactions are not illegal by default. Then explain it. The hall was silent. Explain it in front of the donors, the media, and the victims' families. He did not answer. The comments became unreadable. This is huge. So the charity money went back to their own companies? No wonder they needed Zhou Chen to endorse it. This engagement party is turning into an investigation hearing. Lin Jixia finally lost control. Zhou Chen, stop. Do you know what you're doing? I looked at her. I know. You are ruining me. No. I raised the pledge. You used my name first. Her lips trembled. For a moment, she looked at me the way she had years ago. Back then, when I stayed up all night revising calculations, she brought me dinner and said, Zhou Chen, you're going to be someone important one day. At the time, I thought she believed in me. Now I understood. She had always known how to stand beside someone useful. The useful person had simply changed. Qin Yan tried to regain control. Security. 2 security guards moved toward the stage. Chen Yu immediately stepped forward. Mr. Qin, this is a public event with media present. Are you removing an accident victim while he is questioning a forged pledge and public welfare funds? The guards froze. The cameras remained on. Shu Chao raised her brother's photo. My brother died in that tunnel today. I want an answer too. 1 sentence. The hall erupted. People began whispering. Some donors stood. A few media workers rushed forward with microphones. Han Lifeng turned to leave. I said into the microphone, Chief Engineer Han, leaving now won't erase the signature. He stopped. For the first time that night, fear crossed his face. The engagement party did not end with applause. It ended in chaos. The second fundraising round was suspended before it could be announced. The foundation issued an emergency statement half an hour later, saying the pledge materials would be rechecked. Qin Urban Construction said the fund flow chart was taken out of context. The project company said it would actively cooperate if authorities reopened the investigation. Han Lifeng did not make any public statement. Lin Jixia's name disappeared from the trending topics for 3 hours, then returned with a new tag. Lin Jixia, forged signature. Her team posted a clarification at midnight. The statement said she had only helped handle paperwork at my request and had never intended to harm anyone. Under the statement, the top comment was simple. Then why did you write his engagement party script? No one answered. The next morning, Zhao Jinyan told me that the application to revoke the public welfare pledge had been official. Lai accepted. This will be a long process, she said. They will not admit it easily. I know. You need to be prepared. I have been preparing all along. She looked at me and smiled. That's true. You don't look like someone who suddenly lost his mind. I did not respond. Shu Chao sent me a message later. My mother listened to the voice message and cried all night. I replied, I'm sorry. It took her a long time to answer. That is not for you to say. The next day, Chen Yu published a long article. He did not portray me as a hero. He only wrote the timeline. May 13, red level risk alert submitted. May 14, construction window moved up. May 14, 11:17 p.m., landslide. May 17, public welfare pledge sign. The accident victim's right hand was impaired. Charity funds flowed toward related supply chains. The last sentence of the article was, "The truth should not be dressed up as public welfare, and it should not be drowned out by applause at an engagement party." After reading it, I turned my phone face down. My right hand was still shaking. I had used it too much over the past few days. It hurt more than before. Shen Jiahe sent me the complete evidence list she had compiled. "If you continue working as an engineering safety consultant, you can file these accident models again." I replied, "Can I go back?" Her answer came quickly, "You never left the field. You were just kicked off the project." I stared at that sentence for a long time. That afternoon, I stopped by the hotel. Most of the engagement venue had already been dismantled. The floral wall had been removed. The stage lights were gone. Only a half-torn process card remained under the table. 7:45 p.m. Remarks by Mr. Zhou Chen. 7:50 p.m. Screening of public welfare announcement. 8 p.m. Launch of second fundraising round. The schedule had been packed. My life had once been counted among the program items too. I tore up the process card and threw it into the trash. When I walked out of the hotel, the sky had turned dark. They had not had time to update the LED screen at the entrance. Half a slogan was still visible. "Walking with the city." I looked down at my right hand. It was still shaking. The scar was still there. Some things do not disappear because of one livestream. The compensation process might still be dragged out. Pushing for a renewed accident investigation would still be difficult. The Chin family would not collapse overnight. But I no longer had to hide my hand in my sleeve. I raised my right hand to hail a cab. It trembled visibly in the night breeze. This time, I did not switch to my left hand.